Hello and welcome to this morning's lesson, which is on prime factors. So the first thing that's probably worth talking about is what a prime number is. Now it's worth getting this down as a definition in your notes. A prime number has only got two factors, itself and one. So for example, the first prime number is equal to 2 because it's only got two factors. It's only got 1 and 2. The next prime is 3, and the reason for that is it's only got one factor, 1 and 3. 4 is not a prime because it's got 1 as a factor, 2 goes into it, and 4 goes into it as well, so that is not a prime. Now, it's worth noting here, a lot of people think that 1 is a factor, but the definition, 1 is a prime, but the definition of a prime is that it has to have two factors, and 1 has only got one factor, 1, and that's it. So that's what the prime numbers are. It's probably worth getting down in your notes the list of what the first few prime numbers are, because you are going to need these. So your prime numbers. So your first prime number here is 2. The next one's 3. 4 is not a prime number because 2 goes into it. 5. 6 isn't a prime number because 3 and 2 go into it. 7 is a prime number. 8 is a prime number. Now 9, everyone always goes, 9's a prime number because it's the next odd one along, but actually 3 goes into 9, so 9's not a prime number. 10 is not a prime number because 5 and 2 go into it. 11, 13, 14's not, 7 goes into it. 15's not because 5 goes into it. 16, 17 is the next one, and they do go on forever. Okay, so that's your list of prime numbers. It's probably worth making a note of those because it's really important. Okay, so the next thing is, what are prime factors? Now, any number can be written as a product of prime factors, and what that means is that any number, so whether it's 8, whether it's 2 million, whether it's 2,000,001, whether it's 2,000,006, can be written as a product of its prime factors. Now, it not only can it be written by its product of prime factors, but this is actually a unique value. So there's no other number with that amount of prime factors. So I'm just going to get on with it because I think actually it's a little bit easier than what I'm making out at the moment. So to find out the prime factors of a number, we use something which is called a prime factor tree. So each time you reach a prime number, you need to stop and circle that number. So let's have a look at this one here. Now it's written a little bit sideways, but that number there is 18. So the first thing we need to do, and it's always best to start off with your prime numbers and write them down. So it's going to be 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, so on and so forth. So let's first of all split this one up. Does 2 go into 18? Yes, it does. So I'm going to split that up into 2 and 9. And then I circle the one which is a prime. In this case, it's equal to 2. Is 9 prime? No, it's not, so I'm not going to circle that. Does 2 go into 9 next? No, it doesn't. So what's the next number that goes into it? Well, this is 3. So it's going to be 3 and 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. And then both 3 and 3 are prime, so I circle both of those. Now, actually, at the moment, you have found the prime factors, but you need to write them in the right format. Okay, so here we'll just show what our tree looks like. Now, with this part here, you must write them as a product of primes because it's 2 times 3 times 3 is 18. So with this one here, the way I'd write this is 18 is equal to 2 times 3 times 3. And another way to write this times 3 is equal to 2 times by 3 squared. 3 times 3 is 3 squared. And this here is acceptable. This here is also acceptable. So these are both written as a product of primes. Another common mistake is that people put additions in these. Remember, it's a product of primes. So 2 times 3 is 6, times by 3 is 18. If you put an addition in this, 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 3 is 8, and that's not what I want. I want it to be a product of primes. Let's have a go at a couple more of these. So you should have got that one down. That one there was example 1. Remember to make sure you're getting all of these questions in your notes. The only way to learn maths is to do it. So the next question we're going to be having a look at is this one here. So find the product of the prime factors for 32. Now notice with this one that it's already giving you prime numbers. Now they're not always going to give you that. So this is example 2. I'm going to write down what the question is. So it's the product of prime factors for 32. So here my prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13 and 17, so on and so forth. So let's break up 32 first. Now, you can do this in any way you want, okay, as long as you keep breaking it down to get to the primes. So you could, if you wanted to, just do what number goes into 32. So I always like to go along, but actually sometimes it's easier just to go with the bigger numbers and break up with those first. So I'm going to say, does 2 go into 32? Yes, it does. So I'm going to split that one up into 2. And how many times does 2 go into 32? It goes in 16 times. Let's just check that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 28, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 16 times. Okay, 2 is a prime, so I'm going to circle that. Now, I can break 16 down further. I'm not circling 16 because it's not a prime. So what numbers go into 16? Well, 2 goes into 16, but I could, if I wanted to, do 4 and 4. Okay? Are 4 and 4 primes? No, they're not, so I'm not going to be circling those. What goes into 4? Well, 2 goes into 4 2 times, so it's going to be 2 and 2. And yes, they are both primes, so I'm going to be circling both of those. And it's the same with this one here. And they're both primes, so I'm going to circle those. You only circle the ones which are primes. Remember that 1 is not a prime, so you could, some people do this. I'm going to do this in red, so you know this is wrong. So some people end up doing this, 1 and 2, because the 1 goes into it. But that'll just make you, that just means you carry on forever. So we want to stay away from that. And remember that 1 is not a prime number. So which numbers have I got circled now? Well, 32 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, it's times in the middle there. And 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is the same as saying 2 to the power of 5. Okay? And that's that question done. So let's have a go at another example here. Let's have a go at example 3. So example 3 is a bigger number here now, and this is 60. Let's write down my prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 9's not 1, 11 is, 13, so on and so forth. So now we're going to divide up 60. Now you could start with 2, okay, and then carry on with the 2 there. But I can see some bigger numbers that go into this. So I'm going to start with 10, because 10 goes into 60. So how many times does 10 go into 60? Well, 10 goes in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 6 times. So this one here is going to be 10 and 6. Now, neither of those are primes, so I'm not going to circle either of those, but I do need to break them down further. So what numbers go into 10? Well, 2 goes into 10. And how many times does that go in? It goes in 5 times, so 2 and 5. Now, 2 is a prime, so I'm going to circle that. 5 is a prime, so I'm going to circle that one there. What numbers go into 6? Well, the numbers 2 and 3 go into 6, and 2 is a prime, and 3 is a prime there, like so. And because I've got all my numbers circled now, that's it. That one's finished. Well, it's nearly finished because I need to write it as a product of primes. So I would always write these down in order. So 60 is equal to 2 times by 2 times by 3 times by 5. Remember that we can write 2, because 2 times 2 is the same as saying 2 squared, so it's going to be 2 squared times by 3 times by 5, like so. So that's those 2 done there. Just make sure we've got those. Make sure we've got them right. 2 to the 5, yeah, brilliant. And there it's 2 to the 2 times by 3 times by 5. Brilliant. So, I'm not going to do this one. If you want to have a go at this one yourself, you can do. Maybe I'll go back and pause for a second. If you do want to have a go at that one, pause now. Okay, here's the answers to those. Brilliant. So, the next part of this is to think about how to work out the lowest common multiple and the highest common factor. Now, first of all, you need to know what the word multiple means and what the word factor means. So, with the lowest common multiple, multiples are the times tables of a number. So, the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. That's the multiples of that. It's probably worth writing this down in your notes. Multiples are the times table of a number. So, next up, the word factors. So a factor are numbers that go into that number. So if we think about 4, the factors of 4, well, what numbers go into 4? 1 goes into 4, 2 goes into 4, 3 doesn't go into 4, that's not a factor, but 4 goes into 4, so we have 1, 2 and 4. So the factors of 4 are equal to 1, 2 and 4. The factors of 10, what numbers go into 10? 1 goes into 10, 2 goes into 10, 3 doesn't, 4 doesn't, 5 goes into 10, 6 doesn't, 7 doesn't, 8 doesn't, 9 doesn't, and 10 does. So the factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5 and 10. Okay, now sometimes they ask for the lowest common multiple and the highest common factor of 2 numbers. So what are the multiples, what's the lowest common multiple of both 18 and 22? So we're trying to find the number which is in the multiples of 18 and the multiples of 22. Now that's quite difficult because 18 multiples is going to be 18, 36. I mean, you carry on with those. It's quite difficult to work out the multiples of 18. And the factors of 18, the highest common factor of 18. So what numbers go into both? What's the highest number that goes both into 18 and 22? Well, that can be quite difficult as well because 18's got quite a lot of factors. So 18, 1, 2, 3 goes into it, does 4, and you've got to carry on doing that forever. So we want a quicker way of doing this. And the way we do it is we use prime factors. So the first thing you need to do, this is example 4 now. So the first thing you do is you write down the prime factor tree for 18. So let's write down my primes first. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, so on and so forth. We know that they carry on. So let's split 18 up. So 18, so the numbers that go into it is going to be 2 and 9. 2 and 9. We have actually already done this one. So 2 is a prime, so I'm going to be circling that one. What numbers go into 9? Well, 3 goes into 9 3 times, and they are both primes. So 18 here is going to be equal to 2 times 3 times 3. You can write that as 2 times 3 squared. I'm just going to leave that there for now, and you'll see why in a second. So the next up is going to be 22. So what numbers go into 22? Well, 2 goes into 22. And how many times does 2 go into 22? 2 goes into 22 11 times. Now actually both of those are primes, so I'm going to circle both of those. So this next part is the bit that people find a little bit tricky. Okay, now what we need to do now is we need to create a Venn diagram. Now a Venn diagram sees what numbers are in 18, what numbers are in 22, but what numbers are in both of them at the same time. So the way you do this, you draw a Venn diagram like so. It's 2 circles, like this. You've got 18 over here, you've got 22 over here. So the first thing we need to do, probably I should have wrote this as 2 times 11, is to try and see the numbers which are in both of them, so we can put that in the middle. So if I look at this, there's a 2 in both of these, so let's cross that off, and I put the 2 in the middle. Are there any other numbers that are in both of these? Well, no, there's not, because there's 3 and 3 in this one, and there's 11 in this one. So on the left-hand side of this, what's left over, I have a 3 and a 3, 3 and 3, and what's left over in this one, well, I have 11, so 11 goes in there. Now, this is the key part here. This part here, this middle number, remember it's the product of this, is equal to your highest common factor. So the highest number that goes into both 22 and 18 is 2. Okay? If we want to try and work out our lowest common multiple, it's all of these numbers added together. So your lowest common multiple is all the numbers in your Venn diagram multiplied together. So it's all the numbers, so it's going to be 3 times the 2 as well, times by 11. So lowest common multiple is equal to 3 times 3 times 2 times 11. 3 times 3 is 9. Oops. 3 times 3 is 9. Times by 2 is equal to 18. Times by 11. I'm going to use my calculator for that. You can do it on the side if you want. 3 times 3 times 2 times 11 is equal to 198. And it would have taken us ages to get there to find the multiples of 18. So 18, 36, I can't even think what the next one is. 22, 22, 44, 66, all the way up to that. It's going to take us ages. So the highest common factor is just the number in the centre of that Venn diagram. And the lowest common multiple is all of these numbers multiplied together. Let's just do one more of these examples, and then I'm going to give you a second to have a go at them yourself. So, find the lowest common multiple of 20 and 32. Now, this is example 6. Let's just check. Oh, it's example 5, sorry. Example 5. So the first thing we're going to do is find the prime factors of 20 and the prime factors of 32. So the prime factors of 20, let's write down what my prime numbers are. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, so on and so forth. Prime factors of 20, well, 2 goes into it. How many times does this go in? It goes in 10 times. Circle the 2 because that's prime. What numbers go into 10? Well, 2 goes into it again 5 times. Circle both of those because they are both prime. And I write this down as 20 is equal to 2 times by 2 times by 5. For 32, we did actually do 32 before, didn't we? So, what numbers go into 32? Well, 2 goes into 32 16 times. We remember we did that before. We then split this one up into 4 and 4. Not primes, so not circling anything. 2 and 2, and then 2 and 2. So this one here is 32 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Like so. Next part is I need to draw my Venn diagram. So here's my Venn diagram. Here's my Venn diagram. So this one here is for 20, this one here is for 32. So the first thing I need to do is see what numbers are in both of these numbers. Well, first of all, I can see there's a 2 in both of these. So let's cross off one of those 2's and put it in the middle. So that means it's in 20 and it's in 32. There's also another 2 in there. So I cross that off and put it in the middle there. Is there anything else which is in both of these? No, there's not. So the next part, what's left over here? Well, I've got a 5 there. That needs to go on the 20 side. So remember, in this circle is everything for 20. So 5 times 2 times 2, which is back to 20. And what's left over in this one? Well, there's a 2, there's another 2, and there's another 2. And that's that one done. So the highest common factor are these numbers in the middle. So the highest common factor of this is equal to 2 times by 2, which is equal to 4. And the lowest common multiple is all of these numbers, including the red ones, multiplied together. So your lowest common multiple there is 5 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times by the 5. So you can do that on your calculator if you want. 5 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 160. So the lowest common multiple of this is equal to 160. So just to make that really clear, the highest common factor of 20 and 32, so the number that goes both into 20 and 32, the biggest one of them is 4, because 4 goes into 20, 4 goes into 32. And the number so the multiple of both of these, so you could do 20, 40, 60, 32, 64, but the number that both of these multiples are, the lowest common multiple of both of these numbers is equal to 160. And that's how you do those. So let's have a go at some of these questions now. So I'm going to put these up here. Pause now and have a go at those questions. Okay, and I'm going to put the answers up for these, so mark these in green. The Venn diagram's already written for this one here for you. So you just need to work out what the highest common factor is, which is going to be those ones in the middle there. So here's the answers for those. Mark those in green. And thank you for watching this video on prime factors, lowest common multiple and highest common factor. Remember, the only way to learn maths is to do it. So make sure you're having a go at these questions and have a wonderful day.